Welcome back to my hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokémon Emerald using only single stage Pokémon. In the last episode, we took on a ton of new routes, picked up a few more encounters in Pinsir and Chimecho, welcome to the team boys, and finished off with another fight against Maxi within the Team Magma hideout. No one of value was lost, and overall things have been going pretty smoothly. But now it's time to return to the east to take on the vast open seas of the Hoenn region and work towards our 7th badge. I've got something special for Tate and Liza. Let's do this. I took some time to level up the team in preparation for our next big challenge over in Moss Deep City. And this is what it looks like at the moment. I'm gonna be benching Cast Form for now, I think, as I won't require his services at this very moment, but he should be back at some point. I'll also have to bench someone else here as well to make room for our Goldeen, since I won't be getting another encounter that learns Surf until after I defeat Tate and Liza. Most likely Pinsir, I suppose, only because he lacks Special Bulk and there's a lot of water ahead of us. Sableye and Absol are crucial for the Tate and Liza fight, so they've got to stick around for a bit until then. I would not at all be surprised if Absol's able to one-shot some stuff with that ridiculous attack stat. Time to move on, and we're looking to deal with Team Aqua and whatever it is they're trying to do here. I wish there was a little bit more going on with this part of the story. This is probably the exact moment in the game where I feel like everything starts to feel a little rushed. Like we've been here for 15 seconds and we're already on the move again. This wouldn't be so bad if we maybe did this a few more times on the way over to the Aqua hideout. Speaking of which, this place is so uninteresting. If it weren't for the acquisition of the Master Ball, the Team Aqua hideout would be straight up useless. And I still don't understand why they had to make all the Aqua Grunts incredibly weak. Give them some Mighty Annas at least. Jeez, I ran through a bunch of routes not long ago where they were just running wild. After finishing off this pitiful man, we can now traverse all of the water everyone complains about. There's not much I want to cover here this time around. I'll save that for after Tate and Liza when we can pick up our next few encounters. These routes are pretty boring though, I suppose. There's just not a whole lot of interesting items to gather or trainers to battle. The rematches are actually pretty interesting, but in a challenge like this, it's not really something I tend to go for. Maybe in a future challenge I can force myself to complete specific rematches or something. Since there is nothing left to do at this point, I head over to Moss Deep City, pick up the free King's Rock, thank you very much, and enter the 7th gym. Another Wobbuffet alert here. Don't forget about it or you might be totally screwed. Luckily, Sableye eats Wobbuffets for breakfast, so I can sleep peacefully tonight. Let's get into the team review. This one should be pretty straightforward with our dynamic Dark-type duo. Absol is going to crush everything into dust. Shadow Ball will hit crazy hard, and 2 of Tate and Liza's Pokemon can't even hit him. I've given Absol a Person Berry to shut off any confusion that comes our way. And following that up with his partner in crime, our old friend Sableye. Sableye will also be impossible to hit, and will wreak just as much havoc on the battlefield. As long as I focus down their Claydol and Solrock, it's pretty much over. He is also holding a Person Berry, again to deal with that Confuse Ray from Xatu. Every other team member is simply a backup, but I don't think I'll need them honestly. Cast Form and Minun especially are just a bit too squishy for this, but even if I didn't have Absol or Sableye, Tropius and Kecleon are pretty well equipped to deal with this fight as well. Already at badge number 7. Let's do this. I lead with my Dark types and start pressing that Shadow Ball button. The goal is to focus down the Claydol first, as he is their biggest threat in my opinion. Absol deals a ton of damage, and then Xatu naturally moves second, but only uses a Calm Mind, which won't help them much in this situation. But then... holy crap, thank God that didn't crit. For some reason I got it into my head that Sableye would be faster, and oh boy was I super wrong about that. Claydol is actually a lot faster than I would have thought. Luckily, we aren't punished for it, and Claydol does go down. On the next turn, again I was taken by surprise though, with yet another Pokemon I thought would be slower than Sableye. Xatu sets up the Sunny Day and Solrock moves before Sableye. Again, another Pokemon that is not as slow as you think it is. But for some reason it goes for a Sunny Day of its own, which makes no sense whatsoever. That setup that Tate and Liza just had there was perfect. The Sunny Day was set up, and that Solrock could have easily just used Solar Beam or Flamethrower, and my Absol could have been toast. I know Solrock's special attack is basically non-existent, so maybe Absol could have lived anyway, but still, super sloppy plays on my part. With only Xatu and Lunatone left, there's really nothing Tate and Liza can do now but beg for their Pokemon's lives. With several more Shadow Balls later, the twins finally go down, giving us our 7th gym badge and the TM for Calm Mind, which I'm gonna try not to use if I can help it. With our new badge in hand, it's time to deal with Team Magma again at the Space Center. Seriously, you guys are being pushed around by a dude with nothing but a ball toy? Again, this sequence is a little too short, and Maxie becomes a whole lot easier in a double battle setting, especially when his partner is not very intimidating, to say the least. Steven and I made quick work of them, and now we get to the good part. I head over to Steven's house to pick up a very exciting item, the HM for Dive. Why is this exciting? Because we have just unlocked our next 3 encounters. Let's go over them right now. Route 124 is our first stop to pick up the first legitimate water encounter of the whole run. Jesus, it's taken this long to finally get our hands on one. It takes quite a while as our encounter there has a 5% chance to appear, and it takes forever to swim around underwater, but eventually we run into a Relicanth. I have literally never used this thing, not even once, so I'm very curious to see how it will perform in the late game. This one appears to have Swift Swim, which isn't too bad I suppose, but Rockhead just seems like it's more fun. We do get Double Edge in this game, but it does have some synergy with Cast Form, I guess. Water Rock isn't the best type combination though, and unfortunately the move pool is pretty limited here as well. But the stats are decent, and Relicanth does come with Stab Ancient Power, which is cool. I'm not exactly sure where he fits into the team just yet. We'll have to see how he matches up against the next few fights. For encounter number 2, we'll have to head all the way over to Route 128, close to Evergrande City, and it is here that we can pick up Corsola, yet another rock-water type combo. I could have sworn that Corsola was a dive encounter, but I guess not. And why does it require a Super Rod? It's not the worst Pokemon, but there's nothing super about it either. Corsola has always been viewed as fairly weak, I would say, by the community overall, at least from what I've seen. But it does get Recover, and the usual Surf Ice Beam water package. Unfortunately, I can't teach him Toxic though, as I've already given that to Sableye, so not sure what I can use it for yet. It is a Light Screen / Reflect user, as I'm just finding out though, so maybe that'll work. You know, looking at all that we have to play around with, I'm starting to realize that most of our Pokemon are slow as all hell. That's definitely our weakest side to work with and the most challenging to overcome. And since we're already in the area, let's go grab our last encounter in Evergrande City. It's honestly pretty lucky that we don't actually have to use the HM for Waterfall to grab this encounter. Although, what's not lucky is that it's a Love Disc, which might be the worst encounter we've received this entire run. Yeah, Love Disc is really only good for farming heart scales, and that's about it. Atrocious stats, and pretty standard water-based set with nothing weird or out of the ordinary to set itself apart from anything else. This is our next strategic sacrifice if it's needed. I work on clearing out the rest of the water routes to help level up the party and pick up some random items along the way. I also stop by Sutopolis to grab the flight path and grab some other nice upgrades as well. The TM for Brick Break is always nice, and I took the opportunity to teach Double Edge to Relicanth as well, as again, his move pool is super limited, and he doesn't learn Double Edge via level up until 57, which is not only far too late, but it's also over the level cap anyway for the Pokemon League. And lastly, before I go through the remaining story we have left, I'm gonna go spend some time training up Relicanth and company for the upcoming challenges. And with that, this episode is now over. I've got a lot to think about as we continue to inch closer and closer to the Pokemon League. We basically have all of our encounters for the run at this point, except for one last one over on Victory Road. But before all that, I've got Archie and Juan standing in my way. And while I'm pretty confident about dealing with Archie, that Kingdra is going to be tricky as always. In the meantime, as usual, please like the video if you liked it and subscribe for more content like this. That's it for me. I'll see you next time.